Hey guys, welcome and thank you for joining us. You're watching Open Studio right on Cape Town TV. My name is Danny Kambwa. I've got Geronimo with me in studio. This name is a bit of a tongue twister. He's gonna get it for us. Did I say it right?
Yes, you do.
So he's a inspirational young man who's from an organization called Hope God's Gift for All. All right, he's here to speak to us a little bit more about what the organization is doing. He is also the project manager. Such a young man. Project manager. So we're gonna speak to him a little bit to you about what the organization is doing, and yeah, we're gonna have some fun. So Geronimo, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
May I introduce myself?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Good afternoon. I'm Geronino DeKlerk and I'm from Elsies River. I grew up in Clark Estate, which is in Elsies River. So I moved to Trinity Place, and while I grew up in Elsies River in Clark Estate, I noticed that we're living in something that is called a pandemic.
Yeah.
And the pandemic is called hunger. And so I noticed also that most of our youth and our unemployed children, they part of the initiative gangsterism. You do know gangsterism, and we have a gender-based violence which were by us like in a daily basis. And so I realized that what changes can be done here in Elsies River or even in Clark Estate. And so I came up with this initiative. Why don't we start an organization? Because I mean, a non-profit organization is something that can make many changes in communities, because we work in youth and communities because we believe that changes come from youth and communities.
Yeah. Wow. So like you mentioned, youth and communities, those are the core people, within our communities to make a difference, because we know, and like as a youth, we know and we're living in the current situation, current problems that's happening in the current time. Like you mentioned now that a pandemic, which is a hunger.
Yes.
Everybody's going on about, the coronavirus, which is real, which is
Yes.
there, it's affecting people. But, hunger's also been there for so long, and we tend to turn an eye. So tell us, how has the struggle been within the community when it comes to hunger?
Well, when it comes to hunger, we saw that the pain in our community to feed a child is actually something that excites us.
Yeah.
Because when you feed a child, you can feed a child's mindset. You will feed him spiritually as well as fleshly.
Yeah, with the flesh.
So,
Yeah.
so what I noticed about feeding a child is that when the child don't have something to eat, it makes the child, how can I say, they do not think properly, or they do not do stuff that is positive. And so we saw that for non-profit organizations or even for feeding schemes, it's hard to get funding for feeding schemes. Yeah. So that's why we thought of an initiative. Why don't we start off with the food garden, so that we can feed the community? So this initiative from food gardening gave birth on before the COVID-19 pandemic, because we saw that in our community many people do not have money or access to money, or many are unemployed. So it's hard for them to actually buy food or to actually feed their children. So we started off with this initiative by making food gardens in the Greater Elsies River. We took ownership of our spaces so that this project can be successful. And we noticed and we saw that this project, from the beginning of the COVID pandemic until now, since that we didn't have a lot to do because it was under restrictions, under levels of restrictions. So we saw that changes come from that platform, changes come from that project. So what I want to say is that non-profit organizations can create platforms or projects to make people rehabilitate themselves. So like the food garden, many of the gangsterism guys, they're joining now because that's a platform where they can rehabilitate themselves. Also to learn the educational about how to grow food and the importance of the food and the food security, because I mean, we're living for years now in the pandemic that's called hunger. So we must make changes. And I mean, changes really comes out of the communities and out of the projects.
Wow. I mean, I can hear, the passion in your voice when you speak about this. And I like that. I like how a young man like you can really dive into and take on, a project so big. Because, I mean, there are other people in the communities that could have done this. But because you've got the drive, like I mentioned earlier on, we need the young people, we need the youth to take on this, to take on this project. And that is exactly what you are doing. So being so young, and being in an area like Elsies River, because we know there's a lot of gangsterism, and you keep mentioning it now, that gangsters are becoming part of the program, and there's gangsters around. How did you, as a young person, manage to escape that lifestyle, and become the great guy that you are today?
Well, it was quite hard. as I have to look back where I grew up, I saw that I've lost many friends.
Hmm.
Many friends were shot. They were soccer players. Many of my friends were still in school, and they were also part of gangsterism. And I saw that to be part of gangsterism isn't something that I want to do because I want to make changes in my community. And at the age of 15 years old, yes, I'm right. So I started beginning of January. So I started to become an activist. And being an activist is so good because now you can also encourage people to take ownership of their lives, because when you take ownership of your lives, many stuff come out of your mindset. Because when you think of an initiative, like a food garden, or when you think of initiative that bring changes, I mean, it's a powerful initiative. Because for a youth member or for someone very young to think of something like that, I mean, it's very powerful, because we cannot stay in the community where we on a daily basis face like gender-based violence, we face gangsterism. That's why we need to make a way so that we can't escape gender-based violence, we can't escape the lack of hunger, we can't escape the gang violence at all. But that's why there's platforms or projects to start off so that we can reduce the effect of the
Yeah.
gangster violence. We can reduce it by starting projects. Like we have a project which is called the Climate Justice Charter, where we educate our youth about the climate change and about what's the climate all about. I mean, many of our youth members didn't learn it at all in school, but now we're giving it for them almost like a piece of the mind for school. So for us and for me to escape that part where I escaped of becoming a gangster was actually something that was very hard, because it's very hard for our elders, our parents, to look after our children. Because why? When it comes to look after your children and teaching your children, I mean, it's a very big job. That's what we learn on a daily basis when we plant a seed. When you plant a seed, you need to look after it. You
Yeah.
need to nurture it,
You
because
need to
when it
water
comes
it.
out, it comes very beautiful out.
Yeah.
When you plant the cabbage, you will see it come very beautiful and very green. And that's the same thing when you grow up a child. You need to make sure the very out best is coming out of your child.
Yeah.
So that's why for my parents, I can thank them for raising me for a child like I am now. Because when I was at the age of when I was 15, I served the Lord, and I saw that amazing things happen when you
Yeah.
when you actually serve the Lord. So positive changes is coming from the communities where I lived in, because I'm working in the communities now to make positive changes, because I know and I witnessed it, what can happen with the youth. Because it's so easy for gangsters to get or to recruit youngsters, because I mean, many are unemployed.
Yeah.
For a way to get food for the house or for the households is very difficult. That's why it's very easy for gangsters or for gang drug lords to then recruit youngsters. That's why we came up with initiatives that we can take back all our youth,
Yeah.
so that we can say we took back what the enemy has
Yeah.
stolen from us, to
Wow.
take
Thank you.
ownership. And so
Yeah, buddy, I love you. I love what you're doing. I'm excited. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, continue with our conversation. Guys, do not go anywhere. More on Geronimo when we come back. Right, guys, welcome back. I've got Geronimo with me in studio from Hope God's Gift for All. Okay, we mentioned earlier on, about his upbringing within the Alsis River area, and also what he's been doing, to help alleviate poverty, to try and make a change when it comes to gangsterism and gender-based violence within his community. So, Geronimo, once again, welcome to the show.
well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. For those that just missed it, we touched a little bit about your past, how you grew up, and the impact of your parents had with you, growing up. And you mentioned that they raised you in the church, and you were serving the Lord. Can you just tell us a little bit about that experience? Because I mean, you were quite young.
Well, for me, it was quite challenging to serve the Lord, and also to have like in the bad influence friends at the
Yeah.
other side. So it's quite challenging for youngsters as well to have like or to make changes in their lives. So for me as a youngster, it was quite very hard until now. So serving the Lord is something that it isn't easy. It's not easy to serve the Lord, but the outcomes of it are pure. The results of serving the Lord are
Yeah.
always positive,
Yeah.
and it's always life changing. So for me, I would like to say that serving the Lord was the best option that we have and that we currently have at this moment, because we saw that what's happening in today's lives. I
Yeah.
mean, we can't stand by, because serving the Lord is the only option that we
Yeah.
currently have. Um,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
yeah.
and you mentioned earlier on, as a man, growing up, being reared right, which only I can say based on what you're doing right now and what you've been speaking about, especially where your parents are concerned, and then you mentioned that there's gender-based violence happening within your community right now, as men, what advice or what do you think us as men should be doing differently when it comes to, respecting and looking after a woman?
Well, when it comes to gender-based violence, it's always the men that are the problem, like they say.
Mm.
But for us who knows or how to operate with women, it's not all the men. So what I can say of the men, someone said to me that the men are so dangerous, the women are so dangerous because the more curves they have, the more dangerous they are. So I was like laughing. So I was like, why are you blaming the men for all the gender-based violence? But
Yeah.
listen to what you just said. And I've been thinking that our men, they have pure mindsets. Our men from today, that they know what they are currently doing at this moment. So what I can advise for the men out there is stand in solidarity, take ownership, because you are the man. I mean, when it comes to a man, many things plays a part when it comes to a man, because now you're the father, because now you must stand in as the head of the household,
Yeah.
because you're the man now. So what I can say is react like a man, you know, be the man. So when you're a man, be the change, make positive changes in your community, because like I saw early on when we were driving to Cape Town TV, and we saw that there's women standing on the robots, which is the walking bus. They call them the walking bus. They were standing on the robots, and I was like amazed, like where are the men? And the challenge the men have is that many of the men are part of gangsterism, and many of our men get shot, and they're not even part of the gangsterism. So that's why it's difficult for men to then live their lives like a normal person. So that's why I can say for the man is to take ownership of your lives, man. Make changes, make positive changes in the communities, make changes day by day, because I mean changes come from communities, and
Yeah.
our men, they live in the
Yeah,
communities.
and they can make those changes. So just going into the organization now, you mentioned that you are running activities to help, or to educate young people and to help alleviate things like poverty. You mentioned that you were doing a feeding scheme.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So just take us through, what is your daily routine when it comes into your organization?
When it comes to
Yeah,
organization,
what
or
are you doing, within the community?
okay, so our organization, we are a non-profit
Yeah.
organization, and at this moment, we are running various programs, various projects. At this moment, one of our main projects is that making food gardens on every open spaces. Also to feed every child, to feed every younger person, because I think to feed someone is very very amazing to feed someone. And then we also have the water group, where we part of an initiative called Western Cape Water Caucus. Then we also have a group that is based on the Climate Justice Charter. We are a youth that are part of the charter. We released the charter last year. It took 5 years for the organization to stand together to release the Climate Justice Charter, because we want climate justice, we said. And when it comes to the feeding, it's very, very hard also for our organization to keep the feeding self-sufficient, because to get donations or to get funding for feeding schemes, like I mentioned, it's very, very hard. So that's where our food garden project come in, where we can now supply the communities or the non-profit organizations with soup kitchens or feeding schemes. We can now supply them with some fruits. We can supply them with some vegetables to cook for the communities. So when it comes to our feeding scheme, we have like 11 soup kitchens in
Oh,
our
wow.
feeding scheme, which is quite a lot. And we do not have funding at this moment to provide for the feeding schemes to do it on a daily routine. That's why the garden plays the most important role when it comes to the feeding. because now we can harvest from the garden and take it then straight back into the community feeding schemes, into the non-profit feeding schemes. So for the feeding scheme, I mean, it's quite challenging also because there's a time we need to wait for harvesting, and we do not have the funds to keep it going, or we do not get the donations to keep it going. So we try to make possible feeding on a daily basis because we want to make sure and to ensure that the child goes to full with a full stomach into his bed, so that he can have sweet dreams. I mean, when you feed a child, it's so amazing. So that's one of our biggest projects, the feeding. Then it also plays a part with our community project, where community come together on a monthly basis, where we discuss the various programs or the various initiatives that we want to start, or even the issues in our community. We discuss it and we try to make possible that there's a solution for what we discuss, because we want to bring changes, and we need to bring changes when we stand together. So what I can advise or can say to you is, when I have the community, I have it all back up, man, because I mean, when you have the community, changes come. And it comes fast when you have the communities. That's also with our feeding scheme. Many mothers want to play part of it. Many grannies, many elderlies. So I mean, our projects are just perfect, man, and it's running smoothly.
Wow, thank you, man. You know, when you mentioned, every time when you mentioned the garden, it didn't click to me until now that it's actually actual harvesting that you guys are doing. But we're going to speak a little bit more about that when we come back. So, guys, for those that's watching, do not go anywhere. We'll be back after the break. All right, guys, welcome to the show. You're still watching Opposite Right in Cape Town TV. I've got Geronimo with me in studio, who is from Hope God's Help for All. Did I say that correctly?
That's Hope God's Gift for All.
Hope God's Gift for All. That's one of the longest names, but also one of the most effective projects that I've heard in a long time, you know, working within the community of Alsace River. And, you know, I'm amazed that young people like you guys are going out there and really making a difference. That's what I wanted to ask you, the name of the organization. How did it come about?
The founder is actually not here, but I think where the name come from, Hope God's Gift for All. We saw that actually in today's life, you need to have hope.
Okay.
In order for changes, because we believe in changes. And where the name Hope God's Gift came from is that all of us, our youth members, our founder, our board members, we're serving the Lord, and we thought about this name, Hope God's Gift for All, and it just clicked with us that Hope God's Gift for All it will be much better for us, because we at first wanted to change the name, because we want the name to now take part of what work we're doing at the moment. So the word hope already says it all.
Yeah.
That's why you need to have hope in order for changes. The word hope says it already all.
Right.
So that's where the name comes from, hope. And so we just added by God's gift for all, because we know that God's gift are for everyone, because we are His children.
Wow. So this name is coming from a pure place. It's
exactly.
Really, wow. So, man, let's take it a little bit deeper. You know, we just go up a notch when you mention about your. Don't look like it. It's not.
I'm just listening to you because I'm focusing now and taking it back.
No, don't worry. So, you know, just listening to you when you mentioned about the harvesting, you know. So is that one of the projects that the youth are hands-on that they are doing?
Yes, I mean the project, the initiative gave birth out of the youth.
Okay.
So at this moment, I'm the project manager of the initiative.
Yeah.
So the youth thought of this initiative because we were on a daily routine, we're just standing on the corners and doing nothing.
Yeah.
So before we started this organization, so we came up with this initiative with food gardening, but we do realize that we cannot start this initiative unless we are registered as a non-profit organization.
Yeah.
That's where we registered as well, because we wanted this initiative to actually bring positive changes. So this initiative gave birth out of the youth, and I mean the hands-on, because we have more than 20 unemployed youth that are part of this initiative, and it's quite amazing to have them on this initiative. And at this moment, we do not have any stipend to provide for them, but they are on a platform where they every day can get ShopRite vouchers or electricity vouchers, even airtime vouchers, where they where we track their volunteer work. It's a platform that's called Slato.
Okay.
They track their volunteer work on that platform. They upload pictures of their daily work, and then we will reward them with some points, and they can now purchase with the points like ShopRite vouchers, food vouchers, Pep vouchers, even Mr. Price vouchers. So I mean, the platform, it works amazing for us because we do not have any stipend to
Yeah.
provide for them. And also to mention, when the initiative was born, I felt so overwhelming because to think of that initiative, I mean, the youth gave birth to that initiative, and still on today, I'm still very, very proud of them
Yeah.
to give birth to an initiative like this because I mean, we're working in schools now, and also we're working in communities because a lot of schools also engaged with us and said, okay, we want food gardens because we want the food garden, the harvesting to go straight into the feeding schemes. Even
Okay.
at schools, it needs to go straight to the soup kitchens at school so that they can feed the children with healthy food that's grown out of their own open spaces in the school. So I mean, that initiative are very, very powerful, and I'm so glad to be the project
Yeah.
manager for that initiative because I mean, I saw and I witnessed changes, and I witnessed also very educational information that I didn't even know. So many people gave us like positive information around growing food, and so
Yeah.
because we're on a platform where it's called the Cape Town Together Food Growers Initiative, we all growers from Cape Town worldwide come together and grow greenery. So the importance of the greenery or the importance of the food, it plays a big role in our lives in a time like now because we saw that the prices of the food, it's rising now, and we as communities, as poor communities, we cannot stand by that price because we don't have funds or money at all to buy. That's why this initiative, I mean, food gardening, it's something, or farming. I mean, it's very, very powerful, and
Yeah.
it's powerful for the youth to thought of an
Yeah.
initiative like that.
And to start it from themselves. I mean, this is one of the things, that even if you're not getting paid for, it's a skill that you're learning that will take you for a lifetime. It's a valuable skill, valuable lesson. And I mean, I just wish that funds will come soon for you guys. And if there's anyone that's watching right now, that want to help your project, because you said you're based in the
In
Alsace
the
River.
house,
Yeah, if
yes,
there's
yes.
anyone watching right now that will want to fund your project, which is help you guys grow, in terms of money or knowledge, do you guys have contact information? How can they do so?
Yeah, we do have a contact. It's on Facebook. We have a Facebook page
Mm.
which is NPO ATGFA. Where we will post our daily work, our daily routine, what we're doing daily, and then we also have an email, which is hopegfa@gmail.com. And then people can also reach out to me as the project manager, Geronino DeKlerk, on Facebook, even on Google. They will get my contact details. My cell phone number is 078 901 8735. And I also want to mention is that we as an organization, we for a long time didn't accept monetary donations, but now we do because we wanted to see that how we can do without funds, and we saw that changes come. I mean, and very, very good changes come from because we do not have funding at all, and we our work is expanding now the whole LCZ River, even in the Greater Cape Town,
Yeah.
without funds. So I think when we have the funds, I mean, more amazing work
Will
will
be done.
come from it.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much, Geronimo.
Yeah,
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 it's
but
been it's been a pleasure having you on set today. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing with us, this initiative that you guys are doing. And I hope for those that's watching at home, even the people of Alsace River really appreciate the work that you are doing. And for those that's watching at home, if you can go out there, support the initiative, however way you say they're accepting monetary funds now. If that is your desire or just knowledge, any way in which you can help make this project a success, go ahead, search them up on the social media platform and do what you can to bring a change. So thank you very much, my friend, for coming to studio with us today.
well, thank you very much for inviting me out there. Thank you for making our initiative, our organization's initiative very out there.
Yeah.
So I thank you, man, for inviting me out there. It was a
Oh,
pleasure
oh yeah, you're
talking to
welcome.
you.
And for those watching at home, guys, till next time, bye bye.